Today I want to show you how I went from this little kid to class 2 obese in the first 17 years of my life, and then from class 2 obese to the best shape I've ever been in the second 17 years of my life. If you think this video would help out someone that you know, maybe someone who's beginning their own health and fitness journey themselves, be sure to share it with them. And also be sure to leave a comment below. Let me know your health and fitness journey, successes and failures. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, together we'll all become the people that we wish to be. I wasn't always obese. In fact, when I was really little, I was kind of in shape. I was running around, always getting into trouble, playing outside, and I was a fit little dude. And then my parents permanently relocated to New York from Ireland, and with that I was introduced to a number of things, one of which being the Western diet. Pizza, hamburgers, French fries, chicken fingers, sodas, sugars, candies, you name it. I ate them all, and I ate them with a vengeance. I learned that this food tasted really good and it made me feel really good, so I developed an emotional eating coping mechanism as a young kid. And whenever I felt stressed, I would eat, and I would eat all of this really nasty bad food that served really only to add weight and pounds to my frame and to make me feel temporarily better about myself. However, the more I ate, the worse I felt because I was getting bigger, and the worse I felt, the more I ate, and I ended up in a bit of a vicious circle which led to putting the pounds on rather quickly. There was also a bit of a lack of education, we'll say, towards health and fitness in general, and while I may have been taught this information at home and at school, I never actually learned it or internalized it myself. I didn't understand the value of home-cooked meals or physical exercise and being active on a daily basis. So I didn't really know that this was important or how to do it. I was just a kid and I wanted to play games and run around and have fun with my friends, and when I didn't feel good, I ate a whole bunch. Simple as that. Also, as a kid, I played a lot of sports, and I played them rather aggressively, and with my aggressive sports playing came a lot of injuries. And some of these injuries were pretty bad and required me to be in a cast for months and months and months at a time. There was one in particular, a broken leg, that I suffered playing Gaelic football, and I was in a cast for about 7 months with additional recovery time after that. And for a kid like me, whose really only coping mechanism for dealing with stress was eating, that was a perfect recipe for weight gain. Sitting down all day long with my crutches, not being able to be physically active, I just ate, and the pounds went up. Man, being the fat kid sucks. If you've never been the fat kid before, let me paint a picture for you so you can get an idea where I was coming from. First, your self-confidence is definitely shot, and that leads to more stress and of course more eating. Your clothes never ever feel good or comfortable on your body, and you never feel right in your pants and your shirts, and you're always adjusting things, and it's totally miserable. You're constantly comparing yourself to how other people look and belittling yourself for the way that you look as well. When it comes to relationships or even thinking about finding a girlfriend or boyfriend or a partner of any sorts, your self-confidence is pretty much zero, and it feels like a whole other world or a whole different game that you don't even belong in. On top of that, you think that other people are judging you for the way that you look, which causes a lot of anxiety and stress. And sometimes other people are judging you for the way that you look, which is a horrible thing to think about, especially as a kid. And again, despite all that, the only coping mechanism that you have to deal with all this stress and anxiety is to eat more, which leads to more weight gain, which leads to more stress, etc., etc., etc. And this vicious circle perpetuates itself until you find a better coping mechanism and break that cycle. I would say it was probably around 7th or 8th grade that I actually started to realize that there was a problem. Prior to that, I was the fat kid, but it also meant I was bigger than everybody else, so they couldn't really push me around or bully me because they just weren't physically mature enough to do so. But around that time, the boys started getting bigger and stronger physically, and then hormonally and emotionally, people started changing as well, and the idea of attractiveness and relationships started to pop into everybody's mind. And there I was, of course, the fat kid, left on the outside again, and yeah, it sucked. I started high school at about 240 pounds, which for a 13-year-old is very, very big. And at the time, I knew I wanted to lose some weight, so I decided to join the wrestling team. And if you can see this bit of cauliflower ear here, that's a little reminder of my time on my one season wrestling in high school. And during that 4-month training, I ended up losing about 50 pounds, got down to about 190, and I was in really good shape. I was fit and I was strong, my cardiovascular endurance was through the roof, and then disaster struck. I think it was the third to last practice of the season, I suffered a pretty bad shoulder injury, which sidelined me for a while. And as a result, I ended up not being able to train, but I still ate. I ate like an athlete, and then I emotionally ate, and eventually I ended up putting back on all the weight I had lost. And then when it came time to sign up again for another season of wrestling, I was put off by my injury and instead dove deeper into other interests that I had, such as academics and chess, which are pretty sedentary activities. And the combination of overeating and totally sedentary lifestyle and interest and focus caused my weight to balloon up to 296 pounds. It's a number that's so important to me that I even got it tattooed here on my wrist to remind myself of where I had come from and where I am today. I don't know if you guys remember The Simpsons from back in the day. There was one episode in particular where Homer intentionally tried to gain weight to go on disability. And if he got to 300 pounds or above, he would qualify for disability. And there was a classic scene where he steps on the scale and the scale's kind of teetering just below 300 pounds. And eventually he makes it. Good for him. I had a very similar experience myself. I knew I was big, but I didn't really know how big I was in my senior year in high school. So one day I got myself a scale and decided I'd do a little check-in and see how much I weighed. And sure enough, when I looked down and saw the results, I was clocking in at 296 pounds. And the first thing that came to my mind was The Simpsons and this one scene with Homer. And at that point I thought to myself, I have really two options. And the first one being, go eat my face off, come back the next day and see if I can break 300 just to do it. And yeah, why not? Or a more realistic option, which is start losing weight, take my health and fitness more seriously, start going back down in a healthier direction, and forget 296 altogether. And thankfully, in that very moment, I can say that at 17 years old, that was when my health and fitness weight loss journey really began. When I started my health and fitness journey, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never cooked independently. I was totally dependent on my parents for providing meals or buying food at school or fast food on the street. I knew very little about exercise and training and proper training technique, so I had to figure it out as I went along. I was also feeling a little bit desperate, emotionally desperate, and despite being an academically smart guy, I let my emotions take over, and I did some really stupid things during my early days in the weight loss field, some of which included trying to take, or actually taking diet pills, wrapping my stomach in bubble wrap stuff to try and shrink it down. I remember once I went and ordered one of those electronic ab toner things that you put on your stomach, and little electrocuty things would instantly give you a six-pack. That was stupid. I've tried Atkins diet, I've tried the Warrior diet, I've tried trying painfully to count calories. I did restricted eating and skipped meals and essentially starved myself. And at one point I even thought that binging and purging would be a good idea, but I could never actually do it, so that was unsuccessful in and of its own right. And yeah, I tried all of these things, and sadly some of them actually kind of worked. With a little asterisk next to that, meaning that they work temporarily. Anytime I would ever lose weight using one of these techniques, it would always come back, and then some. And in my 17-year experience here, I can tell you that there's 0 diets that have successfully worked for me. Diets don't work, and that's just a sampling of some of the things that I tried and failed during my journey. I think the first thing that really helped was just stepping on that scale, seeing 296 pounds, and finally accepting that my weight was out of control and that it was a problem and that I needed to do something about it. And that acceptance really spurred the next stage of my journey, which was learning and experimenting and failing and trying, but at the very least taking it more seriously. Another really important aspect of my weight loss journey and losing 100 pounds was learning how to cook. After I finished university, I started traveling, and it was certainly the most independent I'd ever been in my entire life. And I had to sustain myself with food on a daily basis, and I didn't have all that much money, which meant I need to figure out healthy meals that were cheap, easy to prepare, and that I would enjoy eating. And through a lot of trial and error, I did it. And I cook regularly. In fact, I cooked dinner right before making this video here, and learning to cook has been a huge game changer for me. Taking control back on my nutrition, learning more about healthy foods and unhealthy foods, how they're prepared, what's in them, what they do to my body, and also learning that I enjoy the taste of healthy foods, which is awesome. Additionally, I grew a real passion for being outdoors and being in nature, specifically hiking. Hiking for me, for a very long time, was a big passion. Being outside, finding a mountain, climbing to the top of it, spending days outside, and generally just being physically more active, especially compared to my earlier days playing chess, studying, playing music, everything sitting down all day long. I grew a real appreciation for moving my body, and today, not a day goes by where I don't want to be physically active, whether it's training here in the home gym or going for a run or swimming or something active. Drinking less alcohol was also a big game changer for me. At university, I had begun my weight loss journey. However, as happens with many people in university, I was also introduced to alcohol for the first time, and in many ways I substituted my eating coping mechanism for a drinking one. And while I may have lost a little bit of weight, the drinking was not conducive to what you would call a healthy lifestyle, and there's little motivation to train or be active when you're hungover, and of course drinking can cause a whole bunch of other problems as well. After university, however, I've slowly moved away from alcohol, and now I'm at the point where I almost never drink it, only on the rarest of occasions, and mostly I'll have a 0% alcohol instead, and I've found that that has been huge for me, not only losing the weight, but also maintaining the weight loss, because alcohol has calories, and by not drinking that and drinking healthier things instead, I'm reducing my daily calorie intake and staying healthier, more motivated, and less hungover the next day. Now, my story would not exist today if it weren't for a whole host of people who supported me over the years. And this social support, motivational support, and educational support helped me in figuring out, how to cook food, how to train at the gym, how to get a better sleeping pattern, etc., etc., and of course to support me in difficult periods, times of stress, and even times of relapse, and to get back on the right track. So finding a great social network and surrounding yourself with other people who will help you is something that may work for you. It certainly helped for me. I'll mention one more here in this video, and I've got a whole list of more information that you can find on my website. I'll leave a link to the article I've written about this in the description box below. But a really big factor for me was patience and understanding that weight loss takes time. And while I may have wanted the results to happen overnight, it doesn't happen that way. Weight goes up, weight goes down, weight goes up, weight goes down. Weight loss is very rarely, in fact, it's really never linear. There's going to be some fluctuations along the way. And once I kind of realized and accepted this as well, it helped me to develop more patience and get a bigger picture, more long-term thinking towards my weight loss journey. And again, it helped me realize that this isn't something that you do in the short term, it's something that you do every single day. And growing that patience helped me get through some of the difficult times, some of the plateaus, some of the relapses, because I knew as long as I stuck at it, kept getting better, kept coming back to it, in the long term I would be a healthier person and a fitter, slimmer person in the future than I am today. Losing weight ain't easy. In fact, a study shows that only 20% of the people who lose over 10% of their starting body weight keep it off in the long term. Now, I started at my peak at 296 pounds, and I ended up getting down all the way to 175 pounds over a 17-year period, which is quite a long time. But I did it, And that's 40% of my initial starting weight. So think about it. My initial body, cut 40% of that off, and that's what I look like today, which is crazy. And yeah, I'm really happy to say that I'm one of the 20% of the people who have been able to keep it off over the long term. Losing weight, I hate to say it, but losing weight itself is not all that hard. Don't eat for a day, you'll lose a couple of pounds. Go on a crash diet, you lose a couple of pounds. People can do that, and people do that regularly. Keeping weight off and sustaining and maintaining that weight loss over the long term or over your lifetime is a whole different ballgame altogether. And I've been able to do that, and thinking back on it now, I've come up with a couple of things that I feel actually helped me to maintain that weight loss over this time. The first one is daily exercise. I make sure that every single day I prioritize moving in one way or another. In fact, I took it to an extreme level by doing 100 push-ups every single day for an entire year. And if you haven't seen that video, you can check it up here. I'll put a link to it here and in the description box below. And while that may have been an extreme example, I still to this day try and move every single day. It could be here in my home gym, whether I'm lifting weights, I might be going on a jog, I might go for a swim, or I might just walk. All of these things I enjoy doing, and they help, yeah, they really do help keep the pounds off, even if it's just maintaining the weight without trying to lose any additional weight or get bigger and stronger. A second thing that I found extremely important in maintaining my weight loss was increasing my NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That essentially means any activity you're doing that is not sleeping and not dedicated exercise time. For example, instead of driving to the supermarket, I walk. Instead of putting the dishes in the dishwasher, I do them by hand. I pretty much walk everywhere, I do everything manually, and all of these little things add up over the course of the day, the weeks, the months, in more energy expended or more calories burned. And by getting all of this extra activity into me on a daily basis, it helps me to maintain my weight loss. As mentioned earlier, I continue to cook and eat home-cooked meals on a regular basis, healthy foods, which I really enjoy eating. I maintain my near abstinence to alcohol. Again, only on the rarest occasions will I have some, and even then, more often than not, it'll be a non-alcoholic drink. Really, when it comes to beverages, I stick to water, coffee, and tea, not necessarily in that order. Another thing that I've gotten in the habit of doing is weighing myself regularly. In fact, there will be periods where I'll weigh myself every single day for months on end, and then periods where I'll weigh myself perhaps weekly, bi-weekly, etc. But I do make it a point to weigh myself regularly. And the reason for this is I consider myself in a weight management period at the moment. And if you've ever worked in business before, you may have heard the expression, what's managed is what's measured. So I measure myself, my weight, on a regular basis, simply to get data points and to keep in touch with where I'm at. And this helps me in a number of ways, but the most simplest way is that it prevents me from letting myself go way too far for too long without being able to pull myself back. And it really helps in preventing relapses and always getting myself back on the right track as fast as possible. I found these tips to be some of the most helpful that I've experienced over the years, the most practical and the most useful for you. I've written a whole bunch of more tips based on my experience losing the weight and maintaining the weight loss, which you can get in my article that I've written on my website, and I'll leave the link in the description again below for you. For me, this weight loss journey was more than just about going from 296 to 175, 180, right? I'm more than the number on the scale. Really, this journey was about getting more comfortable in my own skin, added self-confidence, added self-worth, feeling better about myself, feeling more confident in everything that I do, enjoying life more, being able to go outside and go on a hike and be in nature and be active without, without getting exhausted every 10 seconds, and really having a higher quality of life. And these are some of the things that I've experienced along my journey and that I'm still experiencing today, despite ups and downs and fluctuations as I go. And if you're watching this video and you're overweight or perhaps even obese like I used to be, and you're interested in starting or continuing your own weight loss journey, first, I wish you all the very best. And second, just a reminder that you are more than just the weight on the scale, and that your life is going to get infinitely better the deeper and deeper that you go into this journey. So I wish you all the best, and yeah, I'm here if you have any questions or need any help and support, and yeah, best of luck to you. Now, after 17 years on this journey, I'm at the point where I'm ready to take my health and fitness to the next level. And as you can see, I've recently got myself a home gym and a whole bunch of gym equipment here. And I've been training hard, and now I want to build a body that is stronger and more aesthetic, and to really go for the body that I've always dreamed about having. And instead of making excuses or letting self-doubt and fear get in the way, I'm going for it. And I'm going for it here on YouTube, and I want to share all of my failures and all of my successes with you guys along the way. If you're into health and fitness like I am, hit the subscribe button, follow my progress, and let's go on this journey together. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story and hopefully get inspired as well. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.